too much. And like yesterday's Tuesday, and we know what Thursday is. Crooked Drinker. But let's start with greetings. Come on. Hello. My name is Daniel. I'm your host. Your
guy in the chair.
He said it. He said it.
And today we'll be going over the Crooked Drinker's thoughts, on how to destroy a franchise. Say bye-bye, Doctor Who. Huh? So, let's hear it. Enjoy it.
The turns
So
have
enjoy.
tabled. It seems like only yesterday that the 100 or so Doctor Who fans that were still watching the show rejoiced, for the dark times were surely ending. Jodie Whittaker's wildly unpopular 13th Doctor was finally departing for that big blue police box in the sky, and Chris Chibnall, who was to Doctor Who what Rian Johnson was to Star Wars, was also going with her. Even better, Russell T Davies, the man who successfully brought the show back from a decade-long hiatus, was returning as showrunner. David Tennant, by far the most popular Doctor in the modern era, was also coming back for a series of special episodes. It really did feel like the adults were back in the room, that the BBC had finally been forced to learn their lesson, and that common sense had won out. Then we actually watched it.
We're finite.
She's not, because the Doctor's
I
there.
am.
And neither. I'm home.
It didn't take long to realise that this was not the same Russell T Davies we'd had back in 2005. Or maybe I should say, this is who Russell T Davies was all along, only now he was fully unleashed, free to indulge his every fantasy and push his every agenda. And like so many other people for whom the message is more important than the package it comes in, Doctor Who yet again became nothing but a soapbox to lecture the unwashed masses from. The show hadn't been saved. In fact, it was only going to get worse.
But it's so sad!
Fuck. Ncuti Gatwa's first season was everything that people feared it would be. A big, campy, silly, preachy, poorly written mess of a show that relegated the Doctor, one of the most imposing, dangerous, and intelligent characters in the universe, into the role of a crying, useless, effeminate moron who often gets pushed aside while other characters save the day. Whatever remained of the Doctor Who audience, and those must have been some truly hardy souls to have stuck around after the time of children, were understandably appalled and departed in their millions. And I really mean that. The show's ratings declined by almost 50% over the previous season, and they weren't exactly great to begin with. The season even recorded the lowest overnight ratings in the show's entire 62-year history, with barely 2 million people watching episode 7. Jesus, more people watch my fucking YouTube channel than this show now. Anyway, even a state-sponsored propaganda outlet like the BBC, who get their funding by literally forcing the British public to finance their dogshit programming, could only afford to ignore reality for so long. And in the face of laughably bad ratings and growing public backlash, they and old Russell himself were forced to go on the defensive and deny rumours that the show was being cancelled. Apparently, Russell was actually quite happy that the majority of his own audience had quit. The audience no one ever gets is the under-30s. They just don't watch television anymore, but those figures are astronomical for Doctor Who. It's their top programme in that bracket. That's interesting, Russell, because I'm pretty sure Doctor Who used to be considered a family show, and families generally include young people. But then again, I guess the concept of a plain old heteronormative British family with a mum and a dad and a couple of kids gathered around the TV for a bit of wholesome escapist fun is to you and your BBC mates what properly fitting trousers are to Mark Hamill. Even Ncuti Gatwa decided to weigh in on the backlash, telling people who had a problem with his Doctor and the show's, modern themes to fuck off and touch grass.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for them.
Well, as it turned out, they did, and they didn't come back. Even the announcement of a new writing team wasn't enough to revive fan interest. Let's see what we've got here, shall we? Well, first up, there's Juno Dawson, a transgender author best known for her novels This Book is Gay and The Gender Games.
Right.
Inua Elams, a Nigerian poet whose work focuses on race and identity.
Not a great plan.
Peter McTighe, one of the writers for the 13th Doctor.
Son of a...
And Sharma Walfall, a winner from a Channel 4 writing competition with approximately 3 credits to her name.
Really?
Nice one, BBC. With an all-star lineup like that, how can you go wrong? Anyway, all of this brings us, dear viewer, to the present day, and the latest news that not only has young Shooty decided to bail on the show now that he's finished filming his second season, not only has Russell decided to follow him, but the BBC is now considering shelving the entire thing for at least 5 years. Oh dear, it's almost like there's consequences to our decisions, and if you decide to turn a beloved British institution that's been around even longer than you've been alive into a shitty self-indulgent vanity project that only appeals to people exactly like you, then the consequences is that you're out of a job, sonny.
It never feels important to me, it feels natural, because you've got to realize that is my world. It's my only world. Yeah. I don't recognize any other world, and if you look at the rest of my work, I mean, that's the work I've been doing since 1999. So it's just natural to me. There's no other way I would write.
See, that right there is the problem with making one single facet of your life into the core of your entire identity. Pretty soon it begins to colour everything that you say and do and write. Pretty soon you start to believe that everyone sees the world exactly as you do, that the things which matter so much to you matter just as much to the rest of us, that your work is above reproach because you're on the right side of history. Well, as it turns out, it isn't, and you're not, old boy. I mean, it's not like Russell or Shooty have to give a shit about any of this. Gatwa's apparently headed for Hollywood, where he already has roles lined up.
You don't like it? Tough. I had my fun, and that's all that matters.
A source close to the show told the UK Sun, Shooty doesn't want to be tied to the series beyond this and plans to relocate to Los Angeles with several Hollywood projects standing by for him. His team also see a lot of fan backlash from the series and don't want the perception of him still being the Doctor to get in the way of any future work. Yeah, I'm sure he's got a team behind him. Jesus, how big do you think this guy is? Meanwhile, Russell is working on a new show for Channel 4 called Tiptoe. And would it shock you to know that it's based around a group of LGBT characters?
No way!
You've got to realize that is my world. It's my only world.
Fuck me, one thing I'll say about that dude, at least the man's consistent. No, the people that are really going to lose out from all of this are the little guys, the production crew, the smaller actors, the technical people, the set builders, and all the other roles that go into making a big long-term show like this. Apparently, the atmosphere on set was pretty bleak when filming wrapped on season 2 because everyone knew the writing was on the wall and they were probably going to be out of a job when it was all over. The same source who spoke up about Gatwa leaving also said, the show's been poorly managed in recent years and there's a lot of people who've been working on this show for years and are now being cast aside due to poor leadership. Apparently, people had warned that the episodes were becoming too caught up in an agenda rather than focusing on telling a story, and those people were apparently shouted down and ignored. Because of course they were. Because Doctor Who isn't allowed to be just a fun, escapist sci-fi show that everyone can enjoy anymore. It's a show made by wealthy, metropolitan, progressive elitists who think the entire world are also wealthy, metropolitan, progressive elitists and can't conceive of anything or anyone outside of their own tiny little bubble. And of course, now that the bubble's burst and the show's teetering on the brink of cancellation, the inevitable cope from legacy journalists has begun. My favourite's got to be this article from the Radio Times, where we've moved from "it's not happening," skipped the whole "it might be happening but it's a good thing" excuse, and jumped straight to "it's always been happening and you were just too stupid to realise it." No, it hasn't, you fucking spam sandwich. That's why Doctor Who was able to survive longer than the average life expectancy of a Scottish human, by appealing to a broad audience, by telling interesting, well-written and entertaining stories that anyone could get wrapped up in, whether they were male or female, gay or straight, black or white, old or young, or rich or poor. There was something for everyone in Doctor Who because story and character always came before the message. Because the people making it actually cared about the show and its history and its audience. Because they were more than just obsessive ideologues determined to push their particular worldview onto everyone else. It's the same retarded all art is political argument that gets trotted out whenever people push back against divisive identity politics and sneering lectures that get awkwardly crowbarred into projects where they don't belong. What they really mean when they say this is that all art should validate my particular worldview, parrot my beliefs, reinforce my opinions, because those are the only ones that can possibly be true, right?
Wrong.
But funnily enough, the moment that art expresses different ideas and opinions, ones they don't personally agree with, suddenly it becomes dangerous and harmful and has to be stopped at all costs. Because we can't possibly have the approved metropolitan progressive elitist worldview being challenged and held up to scrutiny now, can we? Because then maybe people would come to the realization that what we believe is actually bullshit and everything we've convinced ourselves to be true is actually a lie. That is what good art, Doctor Who included, used to do so well, carefully weaving alternative ideas and different perspectives into entertaining storylines and trusting the audience to form their own opinions about them, giving them something to think about, you might say. But in recent years, ideas and perspectives have morphed into simple, blunt propaganda. You can't be trusted to form your own opinions anymore because you might form opinions that we don't personally like. So instead, we're just going to straight up tell you how to feel about things because we know better than you, because we're smarter than you, we're more enlightened than you, because we are on the right side of history. Well, it seems you're actually not. It seems you delved too deep and too greedily, and you awoke something in your audience that you didn't expect. And in the end, that was your downfall, and you've got no one to blame but yourselves. So go ahead and shelve Doctor Who for 5 years, or 10 years, or 20 years. Nobody gives a shit anymore because the show made itself irrelevant. Doctor Who is dead, and the BBC killed it. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.
Hey, everybody, I hope y'all enjoy what he had to say. I'm not a big fan of Doctor Who. I haven't seen one I know of it, but I don't watch it. But hey, I hope you like what you saw. You give me a like, a comment, and share, subscribe. But I'll leave you with this number right here. Oh, a wonderful night. The rest of your day goes really well, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.